cables in front of us here.
We have, we've got a great selection from Doncaster Cables.
Yeah, I mean, when Doncaster Cables showed me the display board that I leave at colleges as part of the eFIXX College Connections, and again, there will be a link in the description in order to get involved with that process, as well as one to sign up for our newsletter. So again, if you want to be notified in advance of some of the stuff we're doing each month, and it's usually a maximum, I think, about 2 emails a month that you'll receive. Yeah. Again, you can sign up for that newsletter. But this board, it had me dripping with excitement.
It's amazing. It is nice.
Yeah, to have this in a college setting is fantastic. Well, we're going to start again with your twin and CPC cables. Okay, so if I bring this one in. Yeah,
so twin and CPC, we've already talked through the first PVC being the brown and blue, second being there. Twin is for the line and neutral, pair of live conductors, and then the CPC being the circuit protective conductor. But also what we need to know is this is actually a class 1
Class
cable.
1 cable. What do you mean by class 1?
So it actually has a solid piece of copper.
Okay, so solid copper conductors like those makes that a class 1 cable.
It does, yeah.
And in my experience, that's probably something that doesn't get mentioned that much in college settings.
No, I don't think we did we as teachers? No.
I'm sure to circle out of that one.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry.
I mention it all the time.
I didn't. I was the bad one.
No, I didn't as well. So, so we'd be doing a lot of the stuff that we talked about here, but actually classifying the class of conductors. So solid copper conductors, they're class 1. Yeah. And that's what you see very early on, isn't it? You're doing lighting circuits and socket circuits.
And basic clipping and things like that, isn't it?
And again, it's the people that are watching this live stream or perhaps are going into the books that are seeing additional stuff to what the college are teaching you or at work. So again, when you sit there and you look at the electrician you're with, they might be calling it twin and earth. Yeah. Are they explaining the live conductors? Are they explaining the names? Are they explaining disconnection times? Are they calling it class 1 conductors? And I'd like to say in my defence, I'd be the same. No, they're not. But you're training to be an electrician, you aren't one. You need to accumulate as much information as 100%. You can. So if we have a class 1 conductor, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I reckon in the future there'll be a class 2. Is there a class 2?
There will be.
And there is, yes. So here we go. So let's have a look at class 2.
So again, we've got the same style of protection, okay? So it's still a twin and CPC cable. However, what you can see now is we actually have a stranded conductor.
So that's solid copper?
It is solid copper. However, there's multiple cores there, which give it a bit of flexibility. And this is what we call a class 2 conductor.
Okay, so from my knowledge you've just given me, then the centre CPC, I'm just going to say that's class 1.
It is, yes, a class 1 conductor. But the two outer ones, the line and the neutral, are class 2.
Okay, so we're not bundling it together and saying this is a class 2 cable.
No.
We're bundling it from our individual conductors. So this would be, all of those are class 1.
Yeah.
These are 2 are class 2.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a class 1 conductor. So when we come down to single insulated cables, we've got a protective one here.
Yeah.
And I look at the construction there.
Again, we have stranded, okay, which gives it an element of flexibility for conduit systems and the like. This is a class 2.
So
conductor.
Solid copper, but stranded for greater flexibility. Yeah. Gives us a class 2 conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So working through those early lessons, aren't you? You're getting all these names, and now we've added a little bit more detail in there, and you find all the details when you get to books.
It goes back to the shows what we've been talking about in the last live stream, wasn't it? Where take yourself out of the box, put yourself in a better position. All of this information is going to help you to do that, isn't it?
And imagine if you were a full-time learner, or perhaps doing your appraisal every year as an apprentice, and they said to you, right, okay, we're going to show you something really simple, like a piece of twin and CPC cable. And they said, well, you've been at college and at work for 6 months or a year. Yeah. Tell us all about it. Imagine adding that extra detail.
When you talk about class 1 or class 2.
Yeah, go in there a little bit more detail. Oh, it might not be coming up in yours, but I know at interviews, especially for full-time learners, I always try and get my learners to say what they know, even though I don't ask them a question. So it's that classic, isn't it? They'll say to you, why do you want to work for us as a company? And you go, I'd like to work for you as a company because I've been using twin and CPC cables at college, and you spew out all the stuff you know about it, and wouldn't it be nice to use that kind of wiring system at your company? Yeah. And it works, doesn't it? Yeah, it just works because you're demonstrating your deep understanding of a subject that you already knew you were going to talk about.
Yeah, and the fact that you've tried. Okay. You know, you've tried to learn, haven't you? So.
Absolutely. So you've gone class 1. Class 2, I know exactly where we're going next. I'll bring the camera in, and you can talk me through the next one.
So as you can see here, okay.
Class 3.
Class 3?
Yeah.
No, it's not, Kaz, no. So this is actually class 5.
Okay.
And what that means is we have fine stranded copper conductors.
Okay, so fine stranded. Why are they fine stranded?
They're fine to offer great flexibility. So you might have them with appliances and moving parts as such within an electrical installation.
So that's coming maybe out of a plug top or a fused connection unit and going to an appliance. Yeah. And therefore, for greater flexibility, we've got a class 5 conductor.
We have, and it's fine stranded. So we have stranded on the class 2, but it's solid stranded, and we have a fine stranded here.
Okay, so that gives us
in class 5.
Okay, so you might be thinking, that's great, they've done a whistle-stop tour of that. Now, I've left a couple of links in the description for everyone.
Yes.
I've been good. So I've gone in there, I've asked Gordon and he's put a few in for me, but I've gone in as well, so I've got my laptop out. In there's a lovely video that we've made at Doncaster Cables on how twin and earth cables made.
It's actually made, yeah.
So we can actually start seeing the full process from when it comes in big reels of copper to going out the door as twin and earth cables. Yeah, we'll go there, twin earth cables.
Twin and CBC.
So,
Twin and earth for Gordon.
Yeah, for Gordon. So again, if you're in a college setting and you're seeing these cables, you think to yourself, well, for the sake of probably 10 minutes of your time, I can see how that process works. Our great friends, and it was along with Doncaster Cables, and it was Aaron that did the video for me. Okay, he's the works manager there, and he knows everything about cables, and he talks you through the entire process. That would be great. Again, if you think that video is of any worth when you watch it, perhaps recommend it to your college if they're not aware of it, and say, wouldn't it make a great 10 minutes in a lesson when you're doing a workshop or a classroom to actually see how cable's made? Yeah, it would be lovely if everyone can get to Doncaster, and as we're in Newark, we're not that far away, so it's within, but if you're in Dover, a bit more of a trouble, isn't it?
It is, it's a bit of a trek, isn't it?
To get all the way up there.
Yeah.
Then you might be thinking, hang on, Gaz has mentioned class 1, class 2, class 5, is there a 6?
There is class 6.
There is a class 6. That's super flexible, fine stranded cables. And you might want some more details. And I've left a link in the description for that as well. So when you look in there after the live stream, obviously not before, you can see one that will go through those classes of conductor and add a little bit more technical detail.
And in the description, there's also a link, I believe, isn't there, to eFIXX.
Okay, you say eFIXX, I say let's have a look at it.
Yeah, let's have a look at eFIXX.
eFIXX, this sounds different.
Again, just as we're on cables, it's another video to familiarise yourself with something that you might not use on a day-to-day basis. Moving forward in industry, though, is something you're going to need to probably be more familiar with, isn't it? So
this is not an armoured version. This is the, I always get it wrong, tough sheath version. So this is the tough sheath version. I can see in here a set of conductors in there. So I've got a brown. Oh, I'm sorry about that. My screen keeps changing. Yeah, I've got a brown, a blue, and a green and yellow. And I can look at those. I now know that they are class 2 conductors.
They are, because they're solid stranded.
But that looks all new to me. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so that's actually a Cat 5 cable. So we use that for maybe data or connecting to CT clamps, etc.
Okay, that now. Okay, so I've got my class 2 conductors, and then I've got a Cat 5. We're all used to perhaps hearing Cat 5 and Cat 6, and we're thinking about the internet. So you're telling me that they've actually got a cable within another cable that can take the internet to a certain location?
Yes.
What sort of areas or locations might need connectivity that the eFIXX cable can come in really handy with?
So again, a lot of people have moved offices down to the bottom of their garden. So you might be taking internet connection down there.
Okay, what about things like EV chargers?
Yeah, EV chargers,
So they've got to be smart, haven't they? Now?
They do now,
Yeah, so the government's deemed that all new installed EV chargers need to be connected. Okay, so they need to be smart, and you could run a separate cable. But Doncaster Cables, the eFIXX, and they do a steel wire armoured version as well, have the data cable built into it.
So there's no need to run additional cables. It's all within one. Makes the installation obviously a lot easier and more efficient as well.
Okay, so again, think about what you're probably going to learn at college. Think about maybe what you're doing at work. It might be that you don't do much, EV, and stuff, and things like that. Again, with your reading and your investigation, you can have a greater understanding of the industry that you're working in. And you said you left a link in the description.
Yeah, there is. There's a link for that one as well. So, go ahead and watch that one to give yourself a little bit more information on that. So
you must have slipped that one in when I went in and had to get a cup of tea. Let's finish off what we've got here before we go to another section. So we've got a steel wire armour cable here, and we think the guy that I can't remember his name and where he is from is going to look at those as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And then
I wish I could remember what his name
I can't remember his name. No, it'll come to me before we get to his bit. What sort of class of conductor is that?
So this is actually class 2.
Ah, right,
so sometimes you might look at it and think, oh, well, there's lots of stranded conductors there, so it must be a class 5. However, it's solid stranded that we're looking at, which is class 2.
Okay, so solid copper, and now we come to here to a bit of Arctic flex.
Yeah.
Maybe the flex is going to help me, and when I look at those, that looks very fine strand. Is that class 5?
It is, yes.
Okay, so that's it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's lovely boards, aren't they? Especially for colleges as well.
Yeah, very disappointed that I didn't get one of them when I was in. So again, for the people